In the lush forest of Calabar, in Efik lands, there was a small village named Ndon Itam. The village was known for its towering palm trees, crystal clear streams, and its people, who were blessed with the gift of sight so keen they could see the finest details of a bird's feather from a great distance. In this town lived a young boy named Etim, who was born with the brightest eyes anyone had ever seen. Etim was a lively child, always curious and eager to explore the world around him. He would often wander through the forest, fascinated by the wonders of nature, the chattering of monkeys in the treetops, the brilliant colors of the butterflies, and the mysterious shadows that danced on the forest floor. The elders in the village often said that his sight was a gift from the gods, a blessing that has set him apart from everyone else. However, there was a prophecy in the land that foretold of a child who would be born with such extraordinary vision that will defy the natural order. This child, the prophecy said, will either bring great prosperity or terrible misfortune to the village. The elders believed that Etim was this child, and they watched him closely, torn between admiration and fear. As Etim grew older, his sight became even more remarkable. He could see things no one else could: the smallest insects hiding under leaves, the faintest stars in the night sky, and even the spirits that wandered the forest at dusk. Some villagers whispered that his sight was a curse rather than a blessing. They feared that the prophecy's darker side would soon manifest. One fateful day, Etim's world began to change. As he was returning from the forest with a basket full of ripe mangoes, he suddenly felt a strange sensation in his eyes. It was as if a shadow had passed over him, clouding his vision momentarily. Alarmed, he blinked several times, trying to clear his sight, but the shadow seemed to grow thicker, darker, and more menacing. By the time Etim got home, he could barely see. His mother, Ekaete, noticed the fear in his eyes and rushed to his side. "What is it, my son?" she asked, her voice trembling. Etim could barely make out her face, now a blur before him. "Mama, I can't see," he stammered, panic rising in his voice. The news spread through the village like wildfire. The boy with the extraordinary sight was losing his vision. The elders convened a council meeting and summoned the village greatest healer, Abasiama, who was said to have powers that could heal even the gravest of wounds. Abasiama examined Etim's eyes, her eyes furrowing deeper with each passing moment. "This is no ordinary ailment," she finally said, her voice grave. "This is the work of dark spirits. Etim's sight has been taken as a punishment, perhaps for something he has yet to do or something he was destined to see." The villagers in shock, fear, and terror. Etim's mother wept, and his father Eyo clenched his fists in helpless rage. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. The elders decided that Etim must be taken to the shrine of Obong Ekong, the great deity of sight and wisdom, deep within the forbidden forest of Nsan. There, they hoped to plead for mercy and the restoration of Etim's sight. The journey to the shrine was long and arduous, fraught with dangers. The forbidden forest was a place where few dared to tread. It was said to be haunted by spirits and creatures unknown, a realm where the line between the living and the dead was blurred. But Etim, determined to reclaim his sight, refused to be afraid. "I will not be blind," he declared, his voice firm despite the terror that gripped his heart. Accompanied by his parents and a few brave townspeople, Etim set out for the shrine. The forest was thick and dark, and gnarled trees that seemed to reach out with twisted branches, their roots snaking across the grounds like serpents. As they ventured deeper, the air grew colder, and silence fell over them, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant cry of a night bird. After several days of difficult travel, they finally got to the shrine of Obong, a towering structure carved into the side of a mountain. The shrine was ancient, its walls covered in moss and vines, its entrance guarded by statues of fierce warriors with eyes that seemed to follow their every move. The villagers, weary from the journey, fell to their knees, offering prayers and sacrifices to the deity, pleading for Etim's sight to be restored. As the last of the sacrifices burned, a low rumble echoed through the shrine, and a deep resonant voice filled the air. "Why have you disturbed my rest?" the voice demanded. The people trembled in fear, but Etim stepped forward, his eyes still clouded, yet his spirit unwavering. "Great Obong Ekong," Etim called out, his voice steady, "I have come to ask for your mercy. My sight has been taken from me, and I wish to see again. I do not know what I have done to deserve this painful punishment, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make amends." There was a long silence, and then the voice spoke again, softer this time, but still filled with an undeniable power. "Etim, son of Ndon Itam, your sight was taken because you were destined to see things that no mortal should. The spirits have judged you, for they fear what you might reveal. To regain your sight, you must pass through 3 trials, each more perilous than the other. Only then will you be deemed worthy of the gifts you seek." Etim nodded. Though his heart pounding with fear, he knew there was no turning back now. "I accept your challenge," he said, his voice resolute. The first trial was one of courage. Etim was led into a dark chamber filled with shadowy figures, their eyes glowing with embers in the darkness. They whispered to him, their voices like hisses, taunting him with his deepest fears. "You will never see again," they sneered. "You are doomed to darkness." But Etim refused to listen. He kept moving forward, his hands outstretched, feeling his way through the dark. His heart raced, but he did not fear, and he did not falter. He remembered his mother's beautiful face, his father's strength, and the beauty of the world he longed to see again. He pushed forward, and soon the whispers faded, the shadows dissolved, and the light returned to the chamber. The second trial was one of wisdom. Etim was brought before a great stone tablet covered in ancient symbols and glyphs. The voice of Obong fills the chamber again. "Read what is written, and you will find the key to your sight." But Etim had never seen such symbols before. They twisted and turned, shifting like the waves of the river. He closed his eyes, trying to remember the teachings of elders, the stories he had heard as a child. He realized that the symbols were not just words, but a story of light and darkness, of sight and blindness. Slowly, he began to unravel them, piecing them together and the tales hidden within the stones. Just as he was about to speak the final word, a chilling wind swept through the chamber, and the walls began to close in, threatening to crush him. Etim knew he had only moments to act. He took a deep breath and shouted the final word. Instantly, the walls stopped, and the chamber was filled with a brilliant light. The second trial was over. But the third trial, the most dangerous of all, was yet to come. It was a trial of sacrifice. The chamber's brilliant light dimmed, leaving Etim standing alone in a vast echoing silence. He felt the weight of the world upon him, knowing that the third trial would be the hardest. The voice of Obong resonated through the stillness, deeper and more grave than before. "Etim, son of Ndon Itam," the voice began, "you have shown courage in the face of fear and wisdom, where others might falter. But to truly earn your sight back, you must face the ultimate test, the test of sacrifice. You must offer something of great value, something that holds your deepest love." Etim's heart clenched. What could he possibly offer that was of such significance? His thoughts raced to his parents, who had sacrificed so much for him. His father, Eyo, had staked his life hunting the dangerous animals of the forest to provide for their family. His mother, Ekaite, had spent countless nights awake praying over him, her eyes filled with tears. Could he offer their love? No, that was not his to give. A strange calm washed over him, and he realized with a sinking heart what the spirit demanded. It was not his parents' love or the love of his village, it was his own life, the very essence of his being. The thought struck him like a cold wind. To regain his sight, he might have to give up his life. The realization sent a shiver down his spine. Great Obong Ekong, Etim said, his voice steady despite the fear crossing through his heart. I am prepared to make whatever sacrifice is required. If it is my life you seek, then I offer it willingly. But I beg of you, if I'm to be blind, let it not bring darkness to my village. Let them prosper in light, even if I'm condemned to darkness. The chamber was silent for a moment. Then a gust of wind swirled around Etim, lifting him off his feet and carrying him deeper into the shrine. The walls blurred, shifting into a realm beyond the physical, a place where the spirit world and the mortal world intertwined. He found himself in a dark forest, not unlike the one he had traveled through. But here, the trees seemed alive, whispering in hushed tones as he passed. Before him, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, tall and slender, her face hidden beneath a hood. Her eyes glowed with embers, and when she spoke, her voice was like a soft, mournful wail. Etim, she said, you do not know me, but I have known you since the day you were born. I am Ibok, the spirit of sight and prophecy. I was the one who blessed you with your extraordinary vision, and I'm the one who took it away. I did this not out of malice, but to prepare you for a choice that will decide the fate of your village. Etim stared at her, his heart pounding. What choice? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. You can regain your sight, Ibok said, stepping closer. But if you do, a great darkness will fall upon Ndon Itam, your village. The village will suffer, and many lives will be lost. The spirits fear your sight because you have the power to see beyond the veil, to reveal truths that could unsettle the balance of both worlds. Or, she paused, her gaze piercing into Etim's soul. You can remain blind, and your village will be spared. The people will live in peace. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. And you'll be a hero, remembered for your sacrifice. Etim felt tears welling up his eyes. He thought of his mother, his father, and all the people who had come on this journey with him. He thought of the life he would live in darkness, never seeing the faces of his loved ones again, never witnessing the beauty of the world he adored. But he also thought of the suffering that could befall them if he chose his side over their safety. The choice was a cruel one, yet he knew what he had to do. His heart ached with the weight of it, but he had always been willing to face whatever fate lay before him. I choose, he began, his voice breaking. I choose blindness. I will not bring darkness upon my people. I will live without my sight, but I will not condemn my village to suffer for my sake. A soft, sorrowful smile spread across Ibok's face. You have chosen wisely, Etim, she said. You have chosen wisely. You have shown true courage, wisdom, and love. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. But remember, this path is not without hope. Though you may be blind, you will see more than any other, for you will see with your heart, your spirit, and your soul. And sometimes that is the greatest vision of all. With that, she reached out and touched his eyes. Etim felt a warmth spread through him, a lightness that filled him from within. Though he knew his physical sight would never return, he felt a profound peace settle over him. He had made the right choice, and for that he was content. Suddenly, he was back in the chamber of the shrine, lying on the cold stone floor. His parents were beside him, their faces wet with tears, their expressions filled with a mixture of relief and grief. The villagers gathered around him, their eyes wide with anticipation. What happened, Etim? His mother whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Can you see? Etim shook his head slowly. No, Mama, I cannot see, but I have made peace with it. I have chosen to be blind so that our village may remain in the light. His voice echoed through the chamber, and the villagers wept openly, touched by his selfless act. The elders, moved by his sacrifice, declared that Etim will forever be honored in Ndon Itam, not as the boy who lost his sight, but as the boy who refused to bring darkness upon his people. But as the villagers began to leave the shrine, heading back towards their village with heavy hearts, yet deep respect, a strange thing happened. The ground beneath them trembled, and a deep rumble sounded from within the shrine. The voice of Obong echoed once more, its tone both somber and commanding. You have passed the trials, Etim, son of Ndomitam, it said. But know this, your journey is not over. Though you walk in darkness, a greater truth awaits you. Seek out the light within, for it may yet reveal the path you were always meant to follow. And with these words, the shrine fell silent. The villagers exchanged worried glances, unsure of what the spirit's cryptic message meant. Etim, though blind, felt a strange stirring in his heart, a new sense of purpose, a feeling that his story was far from finished. As they made their way back through the foreboding forest, Etim felt the whispers of the trees, the breath of the wind, the very heartbeat of the land guiding him. There was a new journey ahead, one that will take him beyond the realm of sight and into a world where only the bravest dare to tread. As the group made their way through the dense forest, and despite his blindness, Etim moved with surprising confidence, his steps guided by an inner light. His father Eyo watched him with sadness. He marveled at his son's resilience, but he also grieved for the life Etim had lost. Ekaite, his mother, prayed constantly, asking the gods for a miracle, for some sign that their suffering will not be in vain. Finally, they arrived at a path. At the center stood an ancient tree, unlike any they had ever seen. Its bark was silver, and its leaves shimmered with a light that seemed to come from within. Etim approached the tree, drawn by its strange beauty. As he touched the bark, he felt warmth spread through his fingers, traveling up his arms and into his very soul. He heard a voice, a soft, gentle whisper, different from the booming voice of Obong, yet just as powerful. Etim, the voice said, you have come far, and your heart is pure. You have proven yourself worthy of the greatest gift, true sight, the kind that sees beyond the physical, beyond the surface, into the very essence of things. Etim felt a tear slip down his cheeks, though he did not understand why. But I'm a child, he whispered. How can I see anything? The voice replied, you see more now than you ever did with your eyes. You see with your spirit, with your heart. You have learned to see in ways that many never will. And now you have a choice. You can remain as you are, blessed with your inner vision, or you can have your physical sight restored. But be warned, if you choose to see again with your eyes, you may lose the gift you have gained, the ability to see beyond. Etim's mind swirled with thoughts. He remembered the faces of his parents, the beauty of the forest, the stars in the sky. Etim opened his eyes, but they remained clouded, unchanged. Yet there was a serene smile on his face. Mama, he said softly, I'm more than all right. I see more clearly now than ever before. The villagers, moved by Etim's transformation, fell to their knees in reverence. The elders approached him, their eyes filled with respect and admiration. You are truly blessed, Etim, they said. You have shown us what it means to see with more than just our eyes. You have taught us the value of inner vision, of understanding the world in ways beyond the physical. From that day on, Etim became known as Etim Esin Enyi, Etim of the true sight. He was revered not for his lost sight, but for his gained wisdom and the light he brought to his people.